"You'll hate us like the rest," the little boy said, eyes narrowed like he was daring her to stay. His twin sister didn't even look up, her small hands tightly gripping the arms of the oversized leather chair she was curled into. She had stopped speaking to adults a long time ago. Clara didn't answer. She didn't flinch. She simply bent down, picked up a stuffed animal tossed aside on the floor, brushed it off, and gently placed it next to the girl. Then she turned and walked quietly into the kitchen. That moment, quiet, unremarkable to anyone watching, would become the beginning of a miracle. The twins were 6 years old, rich beyond comprehension and utterly alone. Their father, Ethan Ridgewell, a tech billionaire who built an empire in silence and solitude, was brilliant in business but broken in fatherhood. His wife had died during childbirth, and from that day, he buried himself in code and corporate takeovers. He hired the best nannies money could find, women with PhDs in child psychology, multilingual tutors, former school principals. None of them lasted. Some stayed for a week. Some didn't make it past the first day. The twins had a reputation. They were cold, wild, untouchable. Rumors of tantrums, bites, broken things, and emotional walls thicker than the mansion they lived in haunted the Ridgewell estate. When Clara arrived, she wasn't even applying for the nanny job. She had come as a maid, answering a last-minute cleaning ad. 45 years old, widowed, and with a teenage son of her own back in Alabama. She was trying to piece her life together after being laid off from the nursing home where she worked for 15 years. The nanny had quit that morning, the 12th in 11 months. The house manager, in desperation, asked Clara to watch the twins while they figured out what to do. Just sit with them until Mr. Ridgewell gets out of his meetings. She was told. That was supposed to be it. Clara didn't ask many questions. She believed in doing what needed to be done. That day, she stayed. The next day, when the agency couldn't find anyone else, she stayed again. By the end of the week, the twins still hadn't screamed at her. Not once. "Who are you?" Ethan asked her finally. Clara looked at the young, tired billionaire sitting across the table, sleeves rolled up, shirt stained from working too late into the night. "I'm someone who sees 2 hurting children and knows better than to walk away from them." He didn't respond. But he didn't fire her either. The days grew into weeks, then months. At first, Clara didn't try to change anything. She didn't bring new routines. She didn't lecture or correct them harshly. She simply showed up. Every morning, with warm food, soft eyes, and patience that filled rooms. When Ethan threw his cereal on the floor just to see if she'd yell, she calmly handed him a rag and said, "We clean up after ourselves here." When Emily refused to come out of her room for 3 days straight, Clara slid handwritten notes under the door. Jokes, riddles, stories about a little girl who built an invisible kingdom of her own. On the 4th day, the door creaked open. A note slid back under Clara's feet. "Tell me another story." The breakthrough wasn't loud. It didn't happen in one dramatic moment. It came in small things, like Emily holding Clara's hand while walking to the garden, or Ethan crawling into Clara's lap after scraping his knee. It came when Clara found them crying in the hallway late at night and simply sat with them. "No questions, no judgments. I miss her," Emily whispered once. "She smelled like peaches and her hair tickled when she kissed me." "I bet she loved you more than the stars," Clara replied softly. "She did." Emily nodded. Ethan wouldn't cry in front of anyone, but he started drawing pictures of a woman in the sky, a girl in a garden, a boy building something from blocks while she watched. One night, Clara caught Mr. Ridgewell standing outside the playroom, watching as the twins played with her. "They're laughing," he said quietly. "I haven't heard them laugh in years." "You haven't been here to hear it," Clara said gently, not to hurt him, but to show him something he hadn't faced. He didn't answer. But the next morning, he canceled his meetings and had breakfast with his children. From that day, he Did it every Thursday. Ethan Ridgewell wasn't a cruel father. He was a scared one. The guilt of losing his wife had wrapped itself around him like chains. He didn't know how to love what reminded him of what he lost. Clara never judged him. But she pushed him, slowly. Your kids don't want a genius. They want a dad. She told him once. So he started learning how to brush Emily's curls without hurting her scalp, how to build rocket ships out of Legos with Ethan, how to show up. The family started to breathe again. But not everything was easy. There were nights when Ethan would scream in his sleep. Night terrors. Clara stayed until he calmed down. There were days Emily would shut down completely, triggered by an old photo or a passing scent. Clara would wrap her in a blanket and sit silently beside her until the storm passed. The other staff in the house noticed it first. The laughter, the artwork on the fridge, the garden covered in chalk drawings and plastic tea sets. Clara didn't just change the children. She brought life back into the walls of the mansion. People began to ask Ethan what had changed. I hired someone who didn't see my children as a job, he said once at a fundraiser. She saw them as people. A year after Clara arrived, Ethan asked her to stay permanently, not as a nanny, not as a maid, but as part of the family. She declined the fancy title. I'm just Clara, she said. But I'll stay as long as they need me. At the twins' 7th birthday, they didn't ask for ponies or magicians or a rented zoo. They asked for a barbecue in the backyard, with Clara cooking fried chicken and sweet tea, and music playing like the kind she listened to while folding laundry. Emily gave her a handmade card that read, "You're not our mommy, but you made my heart feel better." Ethan, the father, cried reading it. Not long after, he set up a foundation in his late wife's name. The first program? Emotional support for children dealing with grief and trauma. He named it Clara's Garden. Because in his own home, where nothing had bloomed since his wife's death, Clara had planted seeds of love, watered them with patience, and watched them grow. At the dedication event, a reporter asked Clara what her secret was. She smiled, brushed a curl from Emily's forehead, and said, "Children don't need perfect people. They need present ones." And in a world of endless resumes and expensive degrees, it was a black maid with a worn-out suitcase and a heart full of love who did what no one else could. She stayed, she saw them, she saved them.